Welcome to the Nonprofit SideKick podcast. Changing the world is hard work, and nonprofit leaders are wearing all the hats while herding all of the cats, and it can get really lonely. You could use a sidekick.
We think of ourselves as your partners in mastering the unique balancing act of nonprofit leadership. Our goal is to provide insights, coaching, and direction for nonprofit leaders, both the heart and soul of nonprofit leadership and the nuts and bolts of nonprofit management. We're your hosts, Wendy Bertner
And Stephanie Masters.
Running a nonprofit is a unique balancing act. It's not worse or more difficult than running a business or government agency. It's not better or easier. It's just unique. And many times people come into the role of nonprofit leadership and they don't really know what they're getting themselves into. We have 5 ways, and I'm sure you guys have a lot more out there listening to us, but we talk about 5 ways that every single day nonprofit leaders, staff, and board have to do this unique balancing act in order to move the organization forward.
Wendy, tell us what those 5 areas are. I want to know.
Do you?
I do.
Are you sure?
I am positive. I am sitting on the edge of my chair, ready.
So the five ways that we talk about a lot in our training and with our coaching of leaders in the nonprofit sectors, we always start with the double bottom line, which is your mission and money, right? You have to make sure you have enough money, but you also have to make sure that you are meeting your mission. That leads to different types of customers. When we started this organization, our company, Nonprofit SideKick, we had to identify a unique customer. What is our ideal customer, In the nonprofit sector, you have several different kind of customers that you have to be thinking about and talking to all the time. The third thing we talk about is the idea of collaborative leadership. And this is something that runs through everything we do in the nonprofit sector. Nobody owns the organization, and you are continually collaborating within and outside of your organization. That leads to one of my favorite parts of the Jim Collins book, Good to Great in the Social Sectors, which is the 2 different leadership skills. That's executive and legislative. And in the nonprofit sector, you have to have both and know when to use which. The 5th is maybe the most important that I talk about a lot, and that is caring for yourself while caring for the mission of the organization. As leaders, we get caught up in the mission. We go back to that we never have enough resources, time, people, money, and we start to put the mission ahead of taking care of ourselves. So in future episodes, we're going to break those down. But what we want to talk about today is more the high level. These are the things, again, this is what makes running a nonprofit can be, difficult. But identifying these things and paying attention to them every day is really important for your success and your mental health.
So Wendy, what you just presented is really the nuts and bolts framework of the unique balancing act. And the heart and soul side of this is the leadership.
Right.
Do you know who you are as a leader? Do you know what you're really good at? Do you know what your strengths are? And you and I have utilized the Clifton Strengths Assessment to help create that better understanding so that nonprofit leaders know where they're naturally aligned to the 5 areas of the unique balancing act. And then where do they need that support? Where do they need that direction, that coaching, that development, or even the partnership with the board to be able to get it done?
Yeah, there's a lot of founders of nonprofit that do this all themselves, and they are balancing these 5 things every single day. And guess where that leads to? Burnout, or in my case, wearing a heart monitor because I was having heart palpitations. I didn't even recognize burnout. I was just, I'm having some health thing going on. And my doctor so kindly said, so what's going on in your life right now?
Warning sign.
Yeah.
Warning.
If the doctor puts you on a heart monitor at the age of 48, that's probably...
Yeah. The 5th area, that balance between yourself and the organization, was not there.
No, not at all. And I was doing a really lousy job in some of the other areas too. The organization I was working with at the time, we had a huge problem with customers talking to customers. It was, you work for, that organization. I've heard of it. Well, what do you do actually? They knew the organization, but they didn't really know what we were doing. So we knew we were kind of messing up in that area well, and it was very frustrating. But to your point, once we identified that, we were able to bring in help. We didn't have a ton of money, so we got some volunteer marketing help that really started to help us see all of the different customers, for example. So we got that partnership going. I knew what I was good at. I was able to say, hey, I need help over here, and brought it in.
I think one of the things that I've appreciated about our partnership and you creating that operational framework is, you've created this assessment that can easily be handed over to an executive director or CEO to really do that evaluation of those 5 areas. And it gives every leader a place to reflect and look at, okay, I do this really well, celebrate it, because there's always this mix of strengths and opportunities as we lead organizations. But being able to understand, am I more of an operational leader by default, or am I more a leader of people? Being able to make that distinction can really help leaders understand where they need that support, where they need to spend their time and attention. And going back to the planning, focusing in on what happens today, this week, this month, versus, setting the stage for 2 to 3 years out, is that I think we have to start at the local level and be in the moment to then help plan for the future.
Yeah. And without plans, that's the whole balancing act is off. Every single one of these, all of the 5 areas. If you don't have some sort of plan, and people don't know where you're going, what you're doing, and why you're doing it, you're going to be off balance every day.
In the words of Phoebe Buffay from Friends, I don't even have a plug. So making sure that we at least have a short-term plan to be able to get started.
All right, so let's just lay it out. I'm going to admit this, and everybody raise your hand. Nonprofit leaders, we are lousy at caring for ourselves. Yep.
Every hand up.
Every hand went up. I have a million stories I can tell you about myself, my friends, my coworkers. But essentially what we're talking about here is not necessarily manis and petties and massages, which I love all of that. Don't get me wrong. Bring it on. But I'm talking about more basic, missing doctor's appointments.
How about not setting up the appointments in the first place?
Not even setting them up in the first place.
Yes.
It's on your to-do list forever, or you just stop putting it on your to-do list. I'm talking about taking vacation. How many leaders out there didn't take all of their vacation the last year or the last 10 years or what have you? Really basic stuff. Eating right. We get so busy going to meetings. We have to have evening meetings for the board and other committees. So we go through the fast food drive-through because that's easier and faster. So we're not eating well. Same thing, not exercising, right? It's just a known fact that we don't really do a good job of taking care of ourselves. So I think one of the things that we are trying to do is bring that to light and to say you really can't care for the mission of your organization if you're not caring for yourself.
And it comes from the deficit perspective that you and I have talked about so many different times, is that everyone who leads in the nonprofit space says, I can't do this until this is done. Yeah. So all of these rewards or this success is over the cognitive horizon. So it's, I'm going to do this one more thing, and then there's another thing. And so this comes back to that negative mindset that there's never enough time. Mm-hmm. Well, we can't create any more time in the day. It's the quality and the way that we approach it, and slowing down to really assess what are the things that we're doing that are helping us, and then what are the things that are harming us.
Yeah. And that goes into the culture of the organization, that being leaders, we are leading that culture of the organization as well, because you see it trickle down. If you're in a leadership role and you're not taking vacation, I can guarantee that your staff is seeing that and saying, oh, wait a minute, maybe we don't take vacations at this organization. If you're working 10, 12 hours a day, same thing, they might be seeing it. That is not sustainable. We talk a lot about sustainability in the nonprofit sector, and we usually think we're talking about money. How do we continue to bring in money to keep doing what we're doing? But I think our mission, one of the points of our mission, is to have people recognize that human resources are important. The human beings involved in your mission are important, and preventing burnout is important.
And bringing it back to all of us have our default style and approach, and knowing where you're going to default. I think one of the things that I've really appreciated about our partnership is that you balance me out. That when I get up to, 120 miles an hour and I'm all frenzied, is you're like, why are you, thinking this way? Or why does it have to be done in this moment? And I think when we don't have that person who recognizes when we're out of balance and recognizes that we're sort of stuck in, fixed mindset, closed mindset around how we lead, it just perpetuates itself.
And we have to be open to hearing that, though. I think, and I'm not talking about you.
Yeah, knock it off.
You are open to hearing that. I know that. Yeah. But I do know that other people, partners of mine, family members, what have you, have said, hey, wait a minute, Wendy, what about this? I had a friend once attempt to make a doctor's appointment for me because she knew I needed to go. And she was like, I'm just going to do it. Of course, they didn't let her make the appointment for me. I had to call myself. But just not, I wasn't paying attention. And I know I'm Gen X, so I've got a little bit of that workaholic, just get it done, trudge through it. I could make excuses all day long for why I did what I did. But you're right. Having somebody finally kind of kick my butt a little bit was what made me go, oh, wait a minute. I didn't listen to those 86 people before. I'm going to listen to this one person. And it changed the way I lived, for sure.
I think we learned so much through the pandemic, and it completely put us out of balance, where, everyone felt like the weight of the world was on their shoulders. And especially in the social sector, it's how are we going to survive, and how are we? And so I think so many leaders and staff members have taken on this, like, we need to continue at this pace. We need to be hyper vigilant about all of these different things. And what ends up happening is that we have this really myopic view of what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. And we lose sight of something that you talk about all the time, which is make sure that we have that balance of, looking at the operations, but what's our why? Why are we here?
Yeah.
And why do we need to, be there for others to be able to achieve our mission?
Yeah. And it all cycles back to the mindset as well, mm-hmm. that we talked about before, and making sure that you don't think being a nonprofit leader means you have to be a martyr. That's just not true. And this is part of it, that if you think that's the way you have to be, if you adopt that mindset early on, you're going to end up hurting yourself, not just your organization.
And you just talked about the martyr mindset. And I think when you're in your own head, mm-hmm. and nonprofit leadership is lonely, if all you hear is your own narrative, yes. It just circles and it makes it worse. And if you're not communicating with others, it just continues to take shape and really influence in a negative way how you lead.
Yeah. And we always recommend that nonprofit leaders have a group. We do huddles. They're called huddles. And that's just, we're not a mastermind group. We're not an accountability group, really, but we are just get together, talk to your peers. What are they doing? How are they handling things? And sometimes it's nuts and bolts. I need to change insurance. Anybody have a good insurance broker that I can use? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it is heart and soul. Like, I am going on vacation next week and I don't feel prepared. And I'm actually more nervous about leaving for vacation than I am about getting work done or whatever. So one of the ways to combat this balancing act, one of the ways to help you balance this, I think, is to find a set of peers. And whether it's a Zoom meeting once a month, lunch once a month, happy hour, making sure that you have a group of people that get what you're going through and can call you on your crap, quite frankly.
We all need somebody that can call us out on our crap.
That's right. Very important.
So today we've talked a lot about the fifth part of the Unique Balancing Act, which is caring for the organization and caring for yourself. So Wendy, if you have one great tip to leave executive directors based on what we talked about today, what would it be?
It's the P word again. It's that plan. Think ahead. And that takes you have to stop what you're doing in order to do it. So planning for the organization, having a general roadmap to say this is where we're going, but also for yourself. Don't let those to-dos that have to do with caring for yourself always sit at the bottom of your to-do list. Make a plan and spend 15 minutes and make those phone calls today. Sign up for that Pilates class, whatever it is you need to do. Take 15 minutes each day and kind of pay attention to it.
And I would say find your partner. Find the person who balances you out. Find a person that you can make sure that you're keeping yourself in check.
Or partners. Agreed.
Partners, yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. If you need more information or would like to work with us, check out our website at nonprofitsidekick.com.